One, the reason why the antelope have got such good eyesight is to try and detect animals like this, the predators, and no better predator than the leopard, the master of disguise and camouflage. My name is Scott, and we've got lucky this afternoon. That is a big male leopard. He's the dominant male leopard of this area, and we're hoping he's going to continue feeding on a Duiker kill. He stole a small antelope that his girlfriend actually managed to catch this morning, and before she could even have a mouthful, he stole it from her. I'm teamed up with Seb on camera this afternoon, and it is wonderful to be here with all of you guys, especially the 3 schools that are joining us. Now, it's a hot afternoon, and he's already got quite a full belly, so those 2 factors combined is why he is panting quite heavily. He's got quite a lot of meat in his belly, and he's also trying to keep cool. And his name is Tingana, for those of you who may have never met him before. And like I said, he is the dominant male over our area and the surrounding areas. He's got a massive territory. We cannot follow him everywhere he goes. But thankfully, he's been spending quite a lot of time here on Djuma over the last few weeks, and that's possibly because one of his girlfriends, the same girlfriend that he stole the kill from this morning, has got a tiny little 2-month-old cub. And I know Noel did go and have a look in that area for Tundi and the cub. No luck, but who knows, maybe a little bit later, once it's cooled off, we will get lucky. So exciting prospects. Ali, you'd like to know, what do leopards eat? And it really does depend on the individual leopard and the area that they live in. And they are highly, highly adaptable. So there's some leopards that have been known to even catch fish or feed on tortoises when they're quite desperate. But usually their kind of favorite prey is medium-sized antelope, small to medium-sized antelope. So I'm sure at some point this afternoon somebody will be able to show you guys some impala. That's probably their most common prey here in the Sabi Sands, but there's also a few slightly smaller antelopes which make it easy for the leopard to catch and also feed on without it being stolen from lions or hyenas. But they are incredibly versatile. And I'm happy to hear that Jamie was showing you some impalas earlier. So that's a perfect kind of match for a leopard. Big male leopards like this could take down prey larger than an impala, but it's difficult for them and also dangerous. So basically, in a nutshell, Ali, they have their favorites, antelope, but they'll feed on birds, lizards, tortoises, fish, just about anything they can sink their claws into. Hello to Holland Elementary. You guys would like to know if they've got fur all over their body. And yes, just about. It's just the pads of their feet that there's no fur, and kind of their inner ear, I would say, and their nose is probably the only part that is not covered in fur. Maybe there's a few areas kind of in their armpits or leg pits where there's not too much fur, but I'm fairly confident they are furry just about all over their body. And imagine wearing a fur coat on a 90-degree or 90 Fahrenheit day. Malaria, you'd like to know when they sleep, and they sleep whenever they get the opportunity to. Unlike us, their lives don't have routine, and because there's so many strange things that can happen to them, they tend to move when the going's good or when they're hungry, and sleep for about 16 to 20 hours a day. So they spend the majority of their time sleeping. And you would like to know, where else do they, where are their favorite sleeping places? Well, on the ground is quite comfortable, but when the grass is long and it's very hot, it can almost create like a blanket. And up trees occasionally, up marula trees. Let's try and show a marula tree. It's their favorite tree to sleep in this area. There's a couple of them over here to our left, and they've got beautiful thick horizontal branches which are quite comfortable for the leopard to lie on, and also quite a good spot for the leopard. Welcome back to the wonderful Tingana, or at least his tail to start with. Seb's going to give you a full tour of its beautiful coat. As you can see, it's panting very heavily, and I'm sure it'll be later on this evening that he decides to carry on snacking. We've been having some fun with Ronald the Rover. He has been very, very relaxed with the... And it's a wonderful, wonderful development because he hasn't had much time spent with the rover. The fact that in such a short space of time he's come completely relaxed with it is a wonderful, wonderful prospect for incredible views and insights into their lives in the future. Now, we drove it up to him while he was lying in the shade and he was completely okay with it. But sadly, the rover shut down. It said it was too hot. So it's overheated. We're just going to, thankfully, we parked in the shade there, just like Tingana, and hopefully everything will cool down and we'll be able to get you some views of him from Ronald. So that's an exciting prospect. And once he's got to know this machine, which I'm fairly confident he already has just in the course of this morning and this afternoon, he's going to go about his business without taking any note of it, just like he goes about his business taking little or no notes of us. So a good breakthrough with Tingana, our dominant male, and I look forward to lots of wonderful low-angle shots of him thanks to Ronald. So an exciting future. But for now we just have to sit and wait patiently and hope that the rover cools down and also that Tingana eventually gets up and has a snack. Oh, very good. Well, as we sit and wait patiently with our leopard, we are having the wonderful opportunity to send you back up to Kenya with a pride of lions. Well, I'm sure you're having a great time with the Ellies and Jamie. I must say I am already looking forward to getting a 2-month period in total that I get to spend down here before heading back up to the Mara. And one of the things I've enjoyed most about my time back here in the Sabi Sands is spending time with these beautiful cats. Cheetah kind of took the podium, or the top of the podium, while I was in Kenya. But as soon as I'll probably me changing my favorites as soon as I... Now, it's these wonderful animals. Ronald is the rover with a little camera in it, back to the vehicle to tweak a few things on it. When it overheated, 1 or 2 of the camera settings switched off. Large majority of the rest of this afternoon start snacking once it's cooled off. So that's something to look forward to. Lots of clouds in the sky, and hopefully, if we're lucky, the clouds will bring a little bit of rain after the drive, because we do need rain desperately here. At this time of the year, the grass that he's lying in should be lush and green, whereas as you can see, it is not looking quite like that. Now, I'm kind of also torn between going and a lot of the staff on a little bit of a drive after the sunrise safari to show them Tundi and the cub, and they just saw Tundi moving away from the den, so she headed off hunting. She could be back at any time. Wonderful stuff. Well, we, like I said, are going to sit tight, tweak a few things on the rover, and hopefully the next time you come back to us, you'll be getting some wonderful low-angle views of them. For the meantime, you're heading back up to the Angama Olololo Pride with Roll. Yes, not much has changed here. Interesting stuff there with Jamie. I hope she gets to the bottom of what's going on with those elephants. And what would be really cool to see is if you saw 2 big elephant bulls having a real go for one another. That would be really, really impressive. Something that I've never seen happening, and I've only ever seen them mating once. I would love to see another mating session and some elephant bulls fighting. Now, not much has changed here, although we did bring Ronald back to our car. He's in a different position now. We seemed to temporarily fix things, and as we deployed him again, we lost picture, sadly. So we're going to continue to try and troubleshoot things. It's not too sure what the issue could be now. But such is the nature of the beast when you're involved in a safari that requires lots of technical little bits and pieces to help string everything together. But I'm sure one of our technical wizards, Conrad's in camp at the moment, he'll be able to put his brain into solving this problem for us. So that's why still we can't show you any low-angle views, but hopefully by the end of this evening's drive, when he actually gets up and starts chewing on the Duiker that's just somewhere in front of Ronald, we will be able to ideally get you up close and personal with those very sharp teeth that are going to be tearing the Duiker apart. Now, for any of you who are on the Sunrise Safari, I must admit that my guesstimate of him having finished this entire kill by the evening was way off. There's still quite a lot of meat that remains, and it looks like he's just tossing and turning now, trying to get comfortable and give that very full belly a little bit of a change in position. I was just sitting here thinking now how lucky we were this morning to follow Tundi into this area, the female leopard who we stole this kill from. And often then it's led me to think further about how often these animals are on our property, not far from the roads, just lying in the shade next to a kill or something exciting or interesting happening, with us completely oblivious to it. But thankfully, we've got wizards like Herbie, who I'm sure a lot of you loved seeing right in front of the camera, leading this afternoon's bushwalk with James on camera. Let's hope James's camera work was fitting for Herbie's interview, and, well, not interview, but as he trains up, and it sounds like he did a wonderful, wonderful job. So well done, Herbie. He's such a legend, and let's hope he doesn't spend too much time presenting, because he's our wizard at finding these animals, and that's what led me onto the topic of Herbie. He is such an absolute ninja in the bush, and looking forward to spending a lot more time with him in the coming weeks that I'm still here. It's been an absolute privilege learning so much from him. Oh, well, it seems like things are getting interesting back up in the Mara. Maybe it's Jamie's elephants that have stumbled upon Ralph's lions. We are still here with Tingana, and you'll be glad to know we have got Ronald the Rover up and functioning. And we drove it up to, I mean, what is that? Just over a meter, and he didn't even flinch. He's just rolled over now and gone to bed, as you can see. And we tried to work out where the Duiker was in this long grass, but we're not too sure exactly where he plonked it down. So we just thought we'd see how close he would let us get to it. And I mean, it's not that he even reacted to us. I just thought we can't go any closer than we were. So that was the only reason we didn't drive any closer to him. And the more he gets to hear the kind of sound that the engine of that little rover makes, just like the engine of the vehicles and the sounds of our voices, he too will become accustomed to it, because its subject does not cause him any harm, doesn't steal from him, and it will eventually just become a neutral object that has no real impact on his day-to-day life, which is first prize. And I'm astounded by how quickly he has become habituated to this machine. I'm not too sure if he's been exposed to it with the other guides since I've been gone for the last 2 weeks, but this morning when we first deployed it, he kind of looked up and he was like, what on earth is this? Understandably. And once he worked out what it was and that it was of no threat to him or his food, he began to just kind of take it for granted. And now you can see some shots of the rover, and it's perfect timing because he's just put his head up. And now that you are in the grass, lying down with Tingana, you'll notice that there's quite a few flies buzzing around. How cool is this? I've got one small problem, though, and that's he is dead center. And as a general rule, you shouldn't have your subject at the center of the shot. And he is literally smack bang in the middle of the crosshairs. But we're not going to... Let's see, actually. Let's show you guys that he's not too concerned by the rover and its movements. I'm just going to slightly tilt the shot so that we've got a bit more of a side view. There we go. There's a bit of a leaf in the way. But I've got a slightly better compose, and you can see he just vaguely looked in its general direction as he heard the engine turning. So this is a major, major breakthrough. Oh, and back to bed. So, wonderful, wonderful stuff. And I repositioned the rover there again since he lay down. And again, he didn't flinch, didn't even lift up his head. So he's becoming very familiar with the sounds of it. And it's a pity we've got such long grass here because, I mean, of course, if it wasn't such long grass, we would be having much better views of him. I'm just thinking of how well this will work in some of the vast open plains of the Mara, especially on the side of the Mara Reserve, where there's lots of short grass. And that is where we would be able to get some fascinating views of cheetah going about their business. But we haven't got any plans to do that just yet. It's something we need to try and organize for the future. And, of course, it will depend on the rules and regulations of the Mara Reserve and the Mara Triangle. Unlike this area, it is not a private reserve. But certainly an exciting prospect. With Ronald. He's your new wingman. Imagine if we could get like a silent drone that could hover above a leopard or a lion as it stalks its prey. It's probably not too far off. Cheryl, you'd like to know if I think he would attack Ronald. I think that, yes, there's definitely a chance that a leopard, not specifically Tingana, may attack a rover or Ronald or any of Ronald's future cousins. But it's unlikely. Unless they feel threatened by something, they wouldn't attack it. So unless you were kind of trying to drive one into maybe a den site where the maternal instinct of the mothers would kick in, there it could cause trouble. But I don't think your average lion or leopard would attack a device like this. It's just going to be, you know, they might chew on it and mouth on it just, you know, because they're inquisitive. But I certainly don't think that they will attack one. Who knows, though? I mean, this morning when we first introduced him to Ronald, as soon as I drove it a few meters and he picked up his head and had a look at it, I stopped the rover and just let him get familiar with it. Had I have carried on driving it towards him, it would have left him with probably two options. He would have run off because he would have been scared, or he may have thought, what is this thing? I'm going to attack it because it's approaching my kill. But, you know, instead of pushing the boundaries, we just stopped the rover exactly where it was and let him kind of get familiar with the sounds of it. You can see all the flies buzzing around now that you're back in the grass with Tingana. And who knows, maybe the kill isn't too far away. Maybe that's why all those flies are buzzing around. The tricky thing is the grass is obviously very, very long and difficult for us to see where he dropped the kill somewhere in that area. But we'll wait patiently and hopefully get some interesting shots of him chewing a little bit later on. Okay, well, I know Noel's initial plans for this afternoon safari was to try and track down Tundi. I'm not too sure where she's ended up now, though, so why don't you go and check in with her and see how she's getting along. How incredible is this? I'd never in my wildest dreams thought we would ever be able to share with you guys a view literally lying head to head with a big male leopard as he consumes his kill. It's a pity he didn't make the kill himself. He stole it from his girlfriend early this morning. But how fantastic are these views? He's got up, literally headed straight to the kill. We swung Ronald around, drove him up to the kill, and we are very, very close to him. I'll say we are less than half a meter away, and it's absolutely magical, these views we're getting. Perfect afternoon sunlight coming through, and now we're going to show you a little bit of a two-shot of both the rover just in front of Tingana and Tingana himself, and you can see that he's just going about his business unperturbed by its presence, and it is just so close to him. So we've got ourselves into a very, very fortunate position here. Now, I'm not sure if the rover picks up audio. It must. It must pick up audio. Because it would be incredible, now that you're so close to him, it would be incredible if we could hear his bone-crunching jaws doing their business as they go about eating. But I don't think you will be picking up any audio from there. You'll just be listening to my audio overlaid over his picture. And I'm very happy to hear that there's a lot of you that are expressing your excitement about this absolutely fantastic view. I mean, the fact that this is coming to you live all the way from South Africa is just absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, to get these shots and edit them and cut them together is one thing in itself, but the fact that you guys have the joy of enjoying this from the comfort of your own homes, or some of you, your offices, we won't tell your bosses, is quite fascinating. Ali Rover, you ask an interesting question. You would like to know what would happen if he smelt the scent of another leopard on the rover. It would be very interesting. I guess he would phlegm and grimace and, you know, pay a bit of interest to it. But he knows full well that it's not a leopard. And the fact that... Ooh, he's just got a nice big hunk of meat there. And Seb was just motioning for me to record, but I'm just letting this whole scene record non-stop. So the main thing to remember is that a leopard would need to scent mark and really rub itself up against the rover in order for another leopard to be able to smell it. And I think it's unlikely that any leopard would do that. So I don't think it's going to be problematic in any way. And it looks like he's actually edging closer towards Ronald to give you guys a better view. Look at how ridiculous this is. Now, I'm wondering if we shouldn't invite some of our other friends who don't follow us every minute of the day, but do follow us on various other social media platforms, because this is just such a unique angle that I think it may be worth sharing with as many people as possible. But maybe we'll do that once we've spent a little bit more time here with him, with all of our old faithfuls. And it does also sound like Herbie, who's on a bushwalk this afternoon, he's leading his first bushwalk this afternoon with James and Camera. It sounds like he may have something interesting on the go, so why don't you go and head across and see what's happening on foot with Herbie. Well done, Herbie. It sounds like you are doing a great job out there, and I hope you guys all have your notebooks out, taking down some natural remedies that Herbie's been sharing with you. We've just been marveling at this incredible scene as Tingana continues to snack on the remains of a Duiker kill that he stole from his girlfriend this morning. And is this not just the most ridiculous view you could ever have imagined to be enjoying with Tingana? It certainly is for me. Seb and I keep looking at one another in disbelief as to what's going on. And I'm very happy we managed to work through the myriad of tech issues that we were plagued with when we started this afternoon's drive with old Ronald. Now, I did mention earlier that we are thinking about inviting along with us this afternoon for this exciting and unique view some other viewers on other platforms. I'm just going to keep quiet for a second and then welcome them on board. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Sabi Sands in South Africa. We are sitting here with a big male leopard as he feeds on a kill that he stole from his girlfriend this morning. But furthermore, we have deployed Ronald the Rover, which is a small camera on a little motorized vehicle, and we've sent that into him, and we are now, well, shortly going to show you some incredible views from about maybe 2 feet away from his nose as he chews on the Duiker. So we'll show you where the rover is now quickly. It's kind of semi-camouflaged with a few green leaves. It's just in front of him, and he's been very... He kind of sat up and looked with him, but with a little into a decent spot, and he's completely relaxed with the rover, and that is why we have got these incredible views. Sorry everyone, that didn't work, so we'll try that again. Let me just try and remember what I said. Only kidding. Okay, so we're going to go back onto the rover cam now whilst Nikki tries to work out what went wrong with that action broadcast. And we'll probably try again shortly in a couple of minutes or so. But here he is, continuing to enjoy his evening snack. And what Seb and I just did realize is that we're fairly confident the GoPro will be recording with audio. So not that that's a huge amount of use to you at the moment, but at least for some of our pre-recorded footage that we do use from time to time, at least we will be able to pull the audio from there. And I guess now that we have understood the need for audio on the rover, maybe we'll be able to fix that too and have a small little microphone for Ronald to be able to hear everything a little bit better. Now watch as he crunches through this bone. I think he'll make his way through this entire foreleg, and he may just leave the hoof at the end. Now watch closely. Sometimes you will find the hooves in their dung, but a lot of the times they will swallow it. It kind of does depend, but I'm guessing he is going to leave the hooves of the Duiker. It's usually the young animal's hooves that they will consume, not necessarily the adults. Look at this. Absolutely crazy. And he is making short work of that bone. Now don't be fooled, even though that bone is quite narrow and not very thick. I mean, if you were to give that to us and, you know, we tried to snap it with our 2 hands, I don't think we would be able to. It's surprisingly powerful, well, not surprisingly, but incredibly powerful jaws that are managing to mince their way through that. Well, like I said, watch closely. As he gets to that end section next to the hoof, it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. Now, Tingana, we're going to be watching you very closely going forward, so we're going to have a far better idea of your dining etiquette and your table manners. Oh, it looks like he moved a little bit closer to the rover there as the leg kind of skedaddled away from him. Okay, very good. So let's try our action broadcast one last time. And I'm going to keep quiet for a second and then welcome everybody on board. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this live safari in the Sabi Sands of South Africa. You can see a big male leopard chewing on something there. He is chewing on a duiker, a small antelope that he actually stole from his girlfriend this morning. His girlfriend didn't even have a chance to have a bite of it. He heard her made the kill, ran into the area, and then stole the kill. Now, what's interesting about this afternoon's drive is that we've deployed one of our foot soldiers. It's a small camera on a motorized vehicle called Ronald the Rover, and we'll show you to him now. He's just in front of Tingana. And as Seb zooms in, you will notice that there's a kind of little black box there with some green leaves on it. That's a makeshift attempt at some camouflage. And on the front of it, what it's like to lie head-to-head with a big male leopard as he crunches down on a duiker. Can you believe this view? And I'm astounded by the fact that he's been so relaxed with this little machine. We haven't used it much around him. Today's literally been the only day that we've exposed him to this machine. And I guess it's just a smaller version of the vehicle that we currently are sitting on. You know, it makes its little noise, it moves around, and it provides no threat to him. It's not stealing anything from him, it's not hurting him. And the fact that it is so small, I mean, I guess it's not very intimidating. And that is why we've been able to get these absolutely incredible views of him as he snacks. You'll notice there's a lot of flies buzzing about. Now, I bet a lot of you didn't think in your wildest dreams that you would be watching a leopard feed on its kill from no further than a foot away from its face. So I hope you're all as excited as we are. Brenda, it says that you are reiterating how amazing it is that he is so relaxed with Ronald. And yes, it is quite fascinating. You know, for me, I think it was always just going to be a matter of time, Brenda, that he would quickly realize that this is of actually no threat to him. But the fact that it happens so quickly, you can see he's looking off at something else there. Who knows, maybe it's his girlfriend Tundi coming back onto the scene to see if she can steal any of this food from him. I'm leaning back and looking in the direction that he's staring in, but I can't see anything for the time being. But I am going to keep a close eye on that area. It could also be that it's a bit of a windy afternoon. He may have seen some grass or bushes blowing in the wind and thought that was the movements of another predator. He does need to be cautious of hyena and lion, because if they caught wind of this kill, they would come charging in and try and steal it. Thankfully for him, though, he's got incredibly quick reflexes, and he would be able to skedaddle, probably with the kill in his mouth, up a tree out of harm's way. Brian, it's wonderful to have you watching us all the way in snowy Scotland. What I would do to have a few handfuls of your snow plonked right onto the top of my head right now. We are baking down here in South Africa, but thankfully the evening is beginning to cool off a little bit and we are parked in the shade. And please do let us know how you guys are feeling. Send through your comments. Jason, you've just commented, wow, so very close. And yes, indeed, it is actually ridiculous how incredible these views are that we are sharing with you. And the fact, again, I must reiterate that it is coming to you 100% live is absolutely mind-boggling. Well, at least it is for me. And credit to all the technical wizards that put together these little machines that we get to play with and that piece together these pictures to send to you in high definition around the world in real time. It is quite something. And we do have a team of geniuses working on all of our toys and equipment and improvements. So thank you to them, because without their wizardry, we would not be enjoying this meal with Tingana, the big dominant leopard of Djuma here in the Sabi Sands. Now, there's a little bird that's just popped onto the scene, and it's so beautiful that I can't not resist showing you. There's a blue waxbill on this dead branch here. Oh, it just flew off. But we'll get it next time. And it's important to remember, whilst enjoying sightings of the kind of big characters and stars of the African wilderness, that there are a lot of smaller, more interesting, well, not more interesting, but equally interesting in their own rights. Cordy, you love the way that this male leopard is plucking the fur from his kill. And I also enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching that awkward movement when they try and kind of push their tongue out of their mouth to dislodge the fur that's stuck to it, ever so slightly, and is in a slightly different spot, so we don't have the best view with Seb's camera, but Ronald, our trusty roving friend, has managed to wiggle his way into a great spot, and it looks like Tingana is now busy starting to feed on the skull, the final little bit of this duiker that was caught earlier this morning. And now you can see that we're back on the rover cam, that you do have quite a graphic view of him starting off with the ears, and he could well crunch his whole way through that entire skull. That is the most ridiculous view I think one will ever see. And I'm sorry if laughing was offensive to any of you, but I mean, it was just the most bizarre scene, a leopard looking in one direction with the duiker's head pointing out in the other. So forgive me for giggling there, but I did find it quite funny. It was just the most ridiculous scene. I'm not sure what caught his attention there, but like I said a little bit earlier, it's quite a windy evening, so as the light begins to fade, he will start getting more and more cautious of any objects rustling or blowing in the wind. But it seems like he's timed his afternoon perfectly in conjunction with our sunset safari, because it seems like he's going to finish his dinner just as we finish our evening safari. And it's just been the most incredible learning experience for us and Ronald and all of you. And I'm so happy that we were able to share with you these incredible scenes. Who knows when next we'll get an opportunity to do this with Tingana or with any other leopards. I must reiterate that our main aim here is to go about habituating them and getting them as used to Ronald as possible, just like they are used to the big vehicles that we drive around in. And that way we'll be able to bring you more incredible, intimate views just like this one we are enjoying right now. If any of you have just logged in, the camera that is filming him is probably no further than a foot or two away from him. I don't think we've got a view of Ronald from where we are here now. Now you can see we're back on Seb's cam, and not much of a view from here. I guess I could reposition, but I'm just so happy with Ronald's view that I thought we could sacrifice our view because Ronald's in a good spot. But let's reposition quickly. And I was just taking some pictures. Just putting the camera down. Okay. Now we've only got a minute or two left, so I'll be quick about this repositioning. There we go. Oh yeah, and we've got another animal here. A stick insect that was crawling along the monitor of the car. Oh, sorry, I think I need to move my hand back a bit because I was too close for focusing. There we go. How crazy. It's all happening here, but let's show you some final views of Tingana before the safari comes to a close. We'll put the stick insect on a tree there. It's going to be far more comfortable. And there you can see Ronald's little red light at the back there, and a little bit of haphazard camouflage. And now we are back onto the Ronald view. Whew. Well, what an afternoon it has been. And I'm hugely happy and grateful that Tingana has seemingly accepted Ronald as a neutral subject, just like us. Oh, this might be a bit graphic for some of you. It looks like the brain's on the menu now. But interesting stuff, and we are definitely going to get some more fascinating views. We're going to learn a lot. Different light thanks to Ronald and his handiwork. So I hope you all enjoy these fantastic low-angle views, having a snack with a big male leopard. It's been a great fun, A big thanks to everyone involved in terms of our Safari Live crew, and of course you guys for supporting us and keeping us entertained on the safaris. We'll see you next time.